Boom. Ethereal synchronicity 444. Boo. Yes, y'all. What we're talking about today? Well, I'm going to be talking about Morgan Freeman. And also going to mention Reverend Ike. So, let me stay on track with this one as much as I possibly can. This Gemini Sun in Gemini season has you flicking backwards and forwards from subject and topic all over the place. Quite a Gemini thing to do. So bear with us. So anyway, the two men in question are both born on the 1st of June. One 1937 and one on 1935. So it's Morgan Freeman that's born in 1937, the 1st of June, and Reverend Ike born in 1935 on the 1st of June also. So this being the case, thought I'd look at them in tandem. How'd you like that? Gemini word, tandem, two, pair, born on the 1st, 1 + 1, 2 again. Sign of the twins, both suns, I believe, depending on the birth time, would be at 10 degrees. So 10 + 0 in numerology terms is 1. It's 10th today, actually. So anyhow, thinking about it, both of these men were quite if you look at one and talk about it as being the sun in basic numerology terms, both of these men were are quite charismatic. In fact, looking at this now, yeah, this is something that I didn't, well, yeah, it's just something I was thinking about before, basically. Shout out to the homegirl, Ra, who, yeah, doing a thing on a live stream. And I was thinking about the Neptune properties in multiple fashions. Number 7, the 12th house, Pisces, all these kind of connotations. And yeah, the Neptune aspects anyway, I was thinking speak to charisma as well. I mean, definitely speaks to, well, acting in this particular case, performing in their case. I'm looking at this Neptune in the 6th house. Just not totally going off topic, just the direction I thought I'd go about it. But let it flow, let it flow. 6th house is working, how you earn money, possibly daily bread, something that you do routinely. Definitely all those things can go down in the 6th house. So that being the case, Morgan Freeman could definitely make some money from being on screen or acting, actually. In fact, you know what? I'm loving this, actually, getting the energy back. Saying that, you know, try to get the flow. Got some notes there. I mean, it's all kind of one thing to put together because you can, like, yeah, compile all the information and then to, yeah, retain it, or then what's the word? Recall. And then relay it, deliver it, basically. They're all separate skills intertwined into me, basically putting it across to you. And what I'm saying there is that, like, I've got loads of information in my head, but then, like, relaying it in a straightforward fashion, considering it's Gemini season. I even got 2 sets of notes. Like, I wrote one with a bunch of aspects and stuff, yeah, and then I just wrote the other one with words and that, because, like, I draw the aspects and the symbols in astrology shorthand, and then spend time squinting at the shorthand and then try to break it down. And it's like, I don't know if it makes it any easier, so I thought I'll put some shorthand bullet point notes. Maybe that's the Virgo transit moon in action. Sure. Anyway, yeah, what was I getting to? Morgan Freeman's quote: "Writers write, painters paint, actors act, and astrologers astrologize, if that's a word. And the reason why I thought that was prominent, because another quote, or whatever in a quote, it was a motivational speech from Morgan Freeman, and it wasn't directly a speech, it's something that someone had put together from interviews. Well, I say interviews, it was only like a 3-minute speech, so one snip from an interview and maybe a snip from a film that he'd been in. And going back to front here, because of the way I've mentioned him, I remember what he said in the film, but it's what he said in the interview. Try to remember. He's talking about this big long poem. Oh, right, I remember now. So, yeah, that was it. They was putting the question to him, or they was about to, and he preempted it and cut them off and answered it for him, kind of thing. If you wasn't an actor, what would you do? That was the question that was going to be put to me. He goes, I can see you're going to put this question to me. I've been asked it before. And answer you with this. And it wasn't directly the quote, but he was basically saying he didn't know what he'd do. Wherever he was, or whatever he would be, wherever he'd be finding some way to fit into his daily routine, almost, to put it. He said if I was driving a taxi, or that's what it actually says in the quote, or an interview, or something else, but long story short is he'd be finding a way to fit acting into his daily life. Now, looking at this, actually, yes, because the man identifies with it. Oh gosh, strange how when you just let the information just flow. So his north node and south node, or nodal axis, and the sun by the south node. So he's come in, and the south node talks about where you've come from, you really past. The sun speaks your identity. So when I say he's come in, south node is talking about what you've come in with, or what you kind of have in the bag. And the sun and the charisma and the personality, the Gemini capacity, but square to the Neptune in Virgo, actually. So, I mean, even Neptune in Virgo, working in the film industry, or while working, Virgo, film industry, Neptune, working. 16 as well, 7, 1 and 6, 7. Again, Neptune, film industry. Come on, guys. Keep up. And I mean, there's guys that will dazzle the back off me with charts, and I just say that in the sense of, like, you know, longer and longer you do it, the more and more you do it, the more people you meet, the more stuff you see, the more you read, the more you educate yourself about this, the more information you can relay, like, really quickly. So anyway, what I was trying to get at is these nodes talk about what he's supposed to do in life, or what he's kind of come here with. Now, the sun is one signature, actually. The reason why I'm just laughing at myself, because this is the stuff I've written down. This is the stuff that's now just intuitively flowing out of me. The sun is the ruler of Leo, the 5th house, the sign here. Works nicely with this chart being Aries rising. And then he's coming with those skills of his personality, presenting it. Then the north node is actually in Sagittarius, and his Jupiter is in Capricorn, and that's going to get to something that I'm going to come to next. Okay, loved when a plan comes together. Put it in the comments if you know who says that. Someone told me to give some little comments, challenges, and that he'll comment on my videos and that. So yeah, that's a little one for you. Which, if not actor, well, you can put the actor if you know the actor, but what character says that line? I love it when a plan comes together. Right, anyway. Just remembered Homegirl's a movie buff as well. That's just random. Yeah, the 16. Ouch. The Neptune. The Virgo. The North Node in Sagittarius. The Jupiter in Capricorn. Right, okay. Anyhow. So yeah, I was talking about his destiny, his future. I'll get to the future part, because it's looking at the rulers of the nodes, by the way. Oh, sorry. I need to look at Mercury. Ruler of his south node, which is here in Taurus. Okay. with Uranus. Okay. Different. Standout. Top of his class. These are ways that you can, well, translate the astrological planets. Means countless ways, but it's just my brain jumping to the what I think to be the correct words at this point in time. I like this. 2142 doubles of each other, strangely enough. So yeah, that's his south node ruler. Okay, where's he come from? I'm not saying where he's come from. Okay, think about this. Farming is the classic word that comes out with Taurus, but it could be like money or security. But then like with Uranus there as well, different, unique, could say strange, weird. I'd actually be interested to see how many siblings Morgan Freeman had. Gemini deals with siblings as well, or family and that. But anyway, that's besides the point. This is where you start to do like astrological research into certain parts, depending on what kind of information he tries to ascertain. Now, if you're actually speaking to the person, then you can just ask them. So that is part of the gig. It's not about guesswork and that. It's about speaking to people about what you can obviously see, and what you can see, and what not what they can't see, but what maybe they feel or intuit. And then it's great when somebody else is able to pick up on it, see it, and you can speak about it, so you don't feel alien in speaking about it. Great astrological tidbit, right? Anyway, I was talking about nodal rulers because of why he's come here, what he's come to do, why he's big at doing what he does. So into the flow. Oh, and then just to cap it off, Neptune, the films, the movies, the 12th house relationship to the sign of Pisces, which like I say, is the movie industry, Hollywood. And this goes into his 10th house, reputation, his career, what he's known for, what he'll go down for in history and be remembered. I say history because Capricorn talks about legacy. Is definitely one thing you could say. Things that last the test of time. If not the bare essentials, then the foundation, the key structures. So Morgan Freeman has Saturn in the 12th house. So again, that speaks to his films, his acting roles, his career. You could say a leading man, almost. I'm saying leading because of the Aries signature. Aries talks about being first, maybe, but it's Saturn we're talking about as well. So I mean, it's reputable, but I think this also goes with the connotation of older, which is Capricorn again. And then the North Node ruler is in Capricorn as well, and that's why I do believe there's big success for Morgan Freeman on the screen in regards to acting and also voiceovers as well, but just basically Hollywood in general. Got it going on. So yeah, Sun Moon Rising is what you'd normally kick in with as an astrologer. And in Morgan Freeman's case, he has got his ascendant is rising here in Aries at 14 degrees. There's actually a fixed star called Alpheratz at about that degree there. There's actually one called Algorab around here. Just little tidbits of information you can go and look for yourself. But these speak to, can speak to Algorab anyway. Being prominent, if it's, they talk about different places where they are actually, but I believe Algorab's a Bohemian fixed star, but I wouldn't say Alpheratz was. But nonetheless, they are stars that I've looked up and noted fall on these particular ascendant and descendant points. Then you have faces around here as well. If we're going to talk about fixed stars. that would fall on the midheaven, 7-8 degrees Capricorn, give or take, spaces. They say that's a difficult star, actually, challenging, but victim or ruthlessness. I've seen that on Solar Fire, but that's a deeper aspect anyway to get into about what the fixed stars mean. They all normally have negative connotations because of the ancient day that they were written in, and I wouldn't really give them that much swing. Well, I mean, you can, but if you read everything that was ancient and medieval, basically you'd live in Greytown, so take it with a pinch of salt, if you may. So yeah, I was talking about his sun, moon, rising. His rising is the fire sign of Aries, but Mars, the planet that rules the rising, is in the water sign of Scorpio. But interestingly, still strong, because Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. But Mars is retrograde here, and this will internalize, and I can't say make it stronger, but I could say make it stronger, if you know what I mean. Like, not only make it stronger, but intensify the energy before it gets channeled outwards. Now, Morgan Freeman has his Mars in the 8th house, which is don't know, well, definitely Mars in Scorpio in 8th house, right? That is going to be like a magnetism, a strong sex drive, trying to Pluto as well, squaring the moon, that's one thing. But yeah, I mean, we speak of the 8th house, you talk about, they say what, sex, death, taxes, legacies, inheritances, wills, joint finances, basically everything that's merged together. It's the Scorpio process, really, the Pluto process in one sense. Whereas if it doesn't eradicate it, it will basically merge with it, like the Borg. I never thought of that. Must be a Scorpio Aquarius thing. Like, I don't even know why. Like, I'm having that. I'm going with that one. But like, the aspects are there. Like, assimilate in it, assimilate or die. Now the assimilate part, like, well, I don't know. Could you say Aquarius is about assimilation? At one end of the spectrum, there's an argument for it. At the other end of the spectrum, it's like, well, it's all freedom, it's all uniqueness, individuality. But then you've got like all of the people, the whole communist factor of we are all one and nobody's better than anybody else. It kind of puts you all and levels you out as well. Double-sided, just like most things. So yeah, the reason why I was saying the Borg, and this is just a bit of a sidetrack, but because he's got the actual planets in his chart and the assimilation of it, and I just talk about the strength of his character there as well. Transformation would be the Scorpio, and the reason why I say Borg, because it's the futuristic, computerized, digitalized, yeah, making man basically computer. Now I'm guessing Morgan Freeman's done some roles in some I'm almost certain of it, some sci-fi type films or acting. It's not coming to mind because he's been in so many bloody films, but yeah. What else is fun about Morgan Freeman? Well, all of this, right, is just busy as Jack Jeffrey. So I'm going to look at the notes, try and make it a little bit easier, a bit more straightforward for myself and for yourself in turn. So, starred in 50 to 60 plus films, I may have said. Net worth 100, maybe 200 million. Not that I was focused particularly on, you know, how much he has made or amassed, but he's been in this game for quite a while and he's well known. Okay, yeah, another note. He, in his younger day, was in the Air Force, and his official title, according to Wikipedia, was Automatic Tracking Repairman. So yeah, the reason why I even pointed that out specifically is because Reverend Dyke, also born on the 1st, was part of the Air Force in his time. They're only 2 years apart in age, bear in mind, so they're probably in the Air Force similar time, if not the same time. Reverend Dyke's role in the Air Force was as a chaplain service specialist, but that's because Reverend Dyke is basically like a minister, preacher, that kind of guy. So yeah, basically I just noted, and I wanted to do the research on number 1 or number 7 maybe. Aviation Y7 1+6, which is 1st of June, which the two men share. But maybe it was just a common thing of the time, because that was one of the biggest places employing, essentially. That just could be a common sense thing of why they was working for the Air Force, because the services were looking for people. Right, yeah, let me get to the funny bits. You always got to keep it a bit funny. On the money. 1 second. Let me just edit this slightly. Boom. So, yeah, like I said, slightly. Guess who this be? This be that guy. This is the big dog. Supposedly when he was a teenager. That's Morgan Freeman. For those who don't know or don't recognize him. And yeah, I found it quite an interesting picture, because I mean, if you actually clock the eyes, there you go. That might be the ascendant, you know. The ascendant in Aries, the head, the eyes, the vision, maybe. And the ascendant ruler in Scorpio in the 8th house. That brings a sheer intensity to the presence of the person, the energy. Probably what he captivates on the screen and is able to project towards the camera. Getting deep. So yeah, I mean, just looking at him like that, I mean, it's powerful. Like, to me, the eyes in that picture. Woo. Right, okay, let me switch to the astrological notes. Having 2 notebooks kind of threw me off a bit. Gemini and me, 2 of everything. What can you do? 2 or more. Oh yeah, how could I forget this? The HNIC. So, although Prodigy, rapper of Mobb Deep, rest easy, P, come out with his album title, the HNIC, the head in charge, y'all know. Morgan Freeman is actually credited for coining the term almost, and he was in the film Lean on Me, and I think he's playing, well, I believe he's Joe Clark in that film. It's actually quite a stiff speech before he drops them bars as well, so check that one out for yourself. Morgan's a real one. Might have said he played him in The Story of God, Shawshank Redemption, Street Smart. Now, I'm not sure. I've done a few takes on this video, so if I end up repeating myself, like, Lord forgive me, but it is what it is. Like, I've done a few takes of, you know. The Chiron thing I wanted to speak to. He didn't really become prominent, according to him, until he was 50-51. Chiron takes 50 years to do its return. Street Smart was released in 1987, when Morgan Freeman would have been 49, 50, going on 51. So after that, since then, he's probably been getting the bigger roles and become more well known. And yeah, acting's very dependent upon you speaking and delivering lines, unless you're a mime artist or physical type artist. And even then, you'd be very limited with what you could do in this day and age. So yeah, I think once his Chiron return had hit at that age, it enabled him to get into his full flight and really like do the business. So Morgan Freeman's chart, let me get back to it because it's active as Jackson. Maybe if I go on the astro theme version, it might be lighter to deal with because I can isolate planets, yeah, and points. Cleans up the chart a bit. You should probably be able to see. So this is one beauty of astro theme. Does this, and I believe you can click on the planets and it'll come out with a little description of what planet it is and yeah, in what sign, what house, that kind of thing. So yeah, I was talking about Morgan Freeman being famous after, well, 30, 40, 50. So that's the Capricorn factor of the midheaven being in Capricorn, of why you know him as an older man. And when I show you a picture of him as a younger man, or if you do recognize him, not saying you will not totally recognize him because you know been keyed into who it is, but like yeah, all of the pictures, if you go, well, not all of them, but basically the mental image in your mind will naturally generally be of an older man. And I always thought of that. Well, for ages when I thought of Morgan Freeman, I couldn't think of him as a young man in young roles and that. And then when I've done this research and it said that he didn't become known until he was 50 in that time in the 80s there, or at least known in his, you know, idea of recognition, always, well, sorry, it spoke to why we always have him in our mind as an older, wiser man. Capricorn again, Jupiter, wisdom as well. So yeah, let me get to some technicalities now. 8, 26, well, 1, they both got 8 with them again. He was accused of a sexual harassment charge, which I might have said, and 26, 2 and 6, 8, the midheaven 8. Between the two of them, you've got what, 18 degrees, so 9. So if you take 9 off 26, you're going to get 17. And if you add, or take off 9, so add 9 to 8, you'll get 17. So the midpoint between the two, so Jupiter, the expansion of his reputation, is at 17 Capricorn. Why have I noted this? Because this midpoint creates a grand trine, and most people don't really use midpoints and trines, but when you start to look at things the way that, well, there's plenty of other stuff that speaks to it, but when you see how it all lines up, it makes sense. So Mercury is 17, Neptune 16, and then the midheaven and the Jupiter midpoint at 17. So that would speak to his words, what he says on the screen, and then Jupiter, like old wise man saying it, and that's what we know him for. So that's an easy way to, well, I say easy, if you could call it trying easy, a natural flow of energy that's working for Morgan Freeman. He's got his moon in the 11th house in Aquarius. I wonder what he knows about astrology with that particular placement. Probably has a habit of disrupting routines and not doing things in a totally, how can we say, conventional way. I definitely believe I could see that with Morgan Freeman. I think this is Lilith, true Lilith, on his north node. Yeah, this is the that you could call it a signature of the wild man. I'm going with that one. Like, Lilith's actually normally classified as the wild woman, but yeah, in a man's chart, it's not to say that it doesn't signify women, but I might actually speak to something there. Yeah, like I believe there's some situation where I'm not 100% sure who his partner, who he got. There was some controversial scandal basically about him getting with someone that, I'm not sure if it's like a Woody Allen type situation where he raised them and that, but I don't think it's someone he raised. I think it was, well, let's say someone he raised, someone he was kind of like in the family, step family or something like that, and they were younger. And obviously he's, oh, if you didn't know, Morgan Freeman's now 82 and still alive, whereas Reverend has passed away about 10 years back or so. So yeah, when he was about 74, because he's 2 years older than Morgan Freeman. So yeah, I was talking about the scandal, which also pertains, I was saying, to these 8 witnesses and 8 complainants are accusers of Morgan Freeman. But yeah, he's got some heavy signatures in his chart. I mean, you've got Pluto trine to Mars, sextile to Jupiter, opposite Pluto. I heard someone describe this as a wedge. But yeah, Jupiter opposite Pluto, lots of money. But then with the Mars retrograde in a Scorpio, there's lots of drive and lots of will. It takes the opportunity. The sextile has the natural energy, the endurance with the trine to Pluto, almost like an obsessive passion to get it done. And then just looking for different signatures. Not really look for Venus in this chart for whatever reason. But Venus is in Aries again, so that's more fire. As well as the ascendant. Ah, there we go. Venus dead on squares the Pluto signature. So I think this speaks to like because he actually puts out a statement apologizing, saying if anybody has felt like this, it's not been my intention. I've never basically been that way towards people I've worked with and I've worked for a long time, X, Y, and Z. So what I was thinking when I actually seen the chart and then I see Venus square Pluto, when Pluto trine Mars, and then Mars square Moon, and then Moon sextile Venus, which kind of almost acts like a closed circuit. I can see how his energy alone is just so much. And then I'm guessing the force and the weight of his, not reputation itself, but his standing and his status, that if he is to say something, this is not even to justify or defend, but I'm just thinking about somebody with this character and then obviously having his reputation. I mean, do you know what? Just, it's deep. Obviously it's acting, right? It's the movies, right? But watch the clips from Street Smart. And he plays a character called Fast Black. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. But like, it's hilarious that he said that's the film where he got known, and then obviously everything he's been accused of at this point. It's a bit deep. I think it could just be not irony, but yeah, one of those things. But yeah, I just spit it out. Basically, dude was basically playing a pimp in that film. Yeah, some guy. I say some guy, it's Christopher Reeve. Now, it's mad that, because I'm not sure why Superman's come up for me several times today for one reason. Oh, I was going to make a comment referring to the Daily Planet. There you go. So yeah, Christopher Reeve is in the film with Morgan Freeman, and he's basically writing, or has been suspected to be writing, about some guy that's a pimp, and the guy that's playing that role is Morgan Freeman. And I don't think he actually was officially writing about him, but once the storyline in the film is, once they meet, Morgan Freeman decides to, you know, give this guy something to write about, so to speak. So yeah, that it's quite a role, or he got to be quite a character, and it was said that he outshone Christopher Reeve in that. And I'm guessing because Christopher Reeve was known as Superman at the time, he would have been known as the lead or the top bill of that particular film. But Morgan Freeman obviously made his name from that, and it's quite a memorable role for him. Fast Black, what a character name. Oh gosh. So yeah, me just looking at the things for Morgan Freeman here. Oh, he's part of Fortune on Procyon or Procyon, I pronounce it. That's another fixed star, actually, Bohemian fixed star, that speaks to coming to prominence quite quickly, though fading fast as well. Can be the case. Although Pluto's close by, it might be some staying power, might hold on to that. Or it could be absolutely turned around, who knows, because Pluto does reversals as well, as Uranus of a sort. Or if Uranus does reversals, then Pluto does decay. Okay, yeah. Look at my notes here. T square, yeah. So I said he's got a T square, big money T square. Oh, right, okay. 26 degrees Jupiter, 27 degrees Pluto, 27 degrees Venus. So this could definitely be a signature of big money. Now I'm sure I probably just mentioned before, a net worth of about 200 million, and I could easily see why. I mean, his reputation. Let's see, Pluto. Okay, Lord knows where he's got, how much he's got, where he's keeping it. Pluto in the 4th house, powerful. Venus in the 1st house. Okay, yeah, this 4-10-1 situation. Angular houses that could speak to them being stronger power players in the chart as well from astrological standpoint. So if you was reading anybody's chart and you've seen planets in the 1st, 4th, 7th or 10th house, yeah, they're more prominent or going to show up in the outer world. So yeah, I think there are definitely going to be some strong signatures. Anyway, to keep it moving, sliding, riding, jiving, I think I could have exhausted this chart for now, without further research. It's my dude, Reverend Ike. Now, Reverend Ike was born in 1935, as I've stated several times. Ridgeland, I want to say South Carolina. Again, keep wanting to say North Carolina for some reason. It could be North. Could just be tricking myself now. The Gemini thing, you got a north, you got a south, left, right. Why can't it just be one place? In fact, because Gemini is an air sign, just to remind people, I mean, it's about learning bits and pieces. It'll all go in eventually. Astrology is a multi-layered subject, and there's just so much to take on board that you don't necessarily need to try and digest this all at once. But for those who, you know, can take it on board and are learning something, by all means, you know, and enjoy what I do. Thank you. I really do appreciate those that watch, those that actually do take the time and listen to this, and realize that there can be something gained from it. The more I do it, the better I will get. It is a practice thing, I guess, a Saturn thing. You can be good, you can be great, you can be intuitive, you can just naturally have it, but it doesn't mean that you will not get better with practice. I mean, you can over practice and get tired, but that's a whole nother story. Well, yeah, that's burnout. It's not even another story. It's the other side of practicing. But yeah, give me a second, y'all. Yeah, I was saying, Mr. Reverend Ike. Now, I'm always conscious about how long I take, but at the end of the day, good things take a bit of time, or even understanding things take a bit of time as well. Astrology takes a bit of, in fact, it's all about time. It's a study of time, innit? Time and planetary movement. So yeah, if you want to learn something, you'll take the time. I have taken the time. Or, you know, don't want to take the time and pay a pro. Should I get people to do other stuff? People get me to do this, because, you know, each one teach one. So, Reverend Ike, I've put down there, known as the preacher of prosperity to many. Reverend Ike believed in the power of energy, frequency, and matter manifestation in a word. He talks a lot of powerful stuff, and he's a super charismatic guy. Like, he knew literally how to hold a crowd, or, you know, that's a preacher, innit? In the palm of his hand. Now, you'll see with Reverend Ike's chart. Sorry. He has the sun in Gemini and the moon in Gemini. So, I mean, this is somebody that on the inside and the outside definitely was buzzing with ideas and thought, and made him a natural communicator. He also has Chiron in Gemini conjunct the sun very tightly, and I've looked at this aspect before, and I mean when it's conjunct that tightly as well, I've heard it's been known as the like a chosen one aspect. I mean, people could see it as a wound to the identity, or like something with the father, or something of that nature. But no, people that I've actually, or at least that I can think of, one individual in particular. I don't know. I have seen it when I've got deeper into him, but maybe because this sign actually, because it's Gemini, mentally they just take it on differently. When I say they take it on differently, as much as Chiron can be a tough position in Gemini, the Sun in Gemini, it kind of gives a bit of strength to the mind, if you see what I mean. So although Chiron's kind of like challenging it, the Sun's giving it strength. So it's kind of like can the Sun overpower Chiron? And you kind of look to Mercury and see who's in charge of Mercury. Sorry, who's in charge of Gemini? What's he doing? And how does that work? Well, Reverend Dyke has this situation, what we call mutual reception by sign. So his Mercury is in Cancer and his moon is in Gemini. This is probably what made him such a orator, a natural orator, of what people felt and thought, the hearts and minds of the people, as I like to call it. And the hearts being Cancer, the minds being Gemini, just so you understand. But the hearts would be the moon and the minds would be Mercury. So Mercury, the planet of the mind, is in Cancer, the sign of the heart, the emotion, the feeling. And Cancer, the moon, the planet of Cancer, the sign of the heart, home, emotion, emotional response, is in the sign of the mental area, Gemini. So these planets are disposited by one another. Dispositors are basically the planet that rules a sign and where he's basically placed. So no matter what, like Saturn rules Capricorn, as far as I know, in every astrology. So wherever Saturn is the disposited. Whatever's in Saturn, whatever planet is in Capricorn is disposited by Saturn. Dispositors. So basically influences the planets in any given sign, as well as we're talking about essential dignities, which is how powerful a planet is in any given position in the zodiac. These are all the tidbits of astrology that you learn as time goes along. So it's funny that because I said Capricorn in time, naturally. Reverend Dyke, his specialness. Well, he definitely had a different take or a different bent on spiritual philosophy of maybe the average preacher, or at least he was just very open about it. I want money. I like money. I was going to say, give me money. In fact, yeah, he'd say, I am money. I am money. Like, that is one of the affirmations. Now, if you stuck around this long, that's probably why it's coming around on 44 minutes. But an affirmation from Reverend Ike about I am money. I'll say it again. I am money. Yeah? And what he was saying with that is, if you use the words I am, they're basically very powerful words, and they're related to your presence and your space within this universe and who you are, who you believe yourself to be. So I'll say it again. I am money. I am wealth. I am health. I am vitality. I am strength. I am given the opportunity and grateful. So, yeah, whatever you are and whatever's in your mind, so this is the whole thing. Reverend Ike was all about basically the power of the mind and how it relates and influences people and what they can get and what they can do. So how am I seeing this in astrology anyway? Because I'm there trying to put across to you Reverend Ike is, but If you don't know, you won't know, and you can go and find out quite easily and maybe gain quite a lot from it. And if you do know, then you know what I'm talking about, and obviously you get the point. So we're talking about a preacher from church, a minister. We're talking about church here. Neptune, how spiritual is this man? Again, like Morgan Freeman, very charismatic. Although he wasn't on the big screen, he was on the big screen. This is why you can find videos of him in his sermons, because he was like a TV evangelist, man. That's what I gotta call him. He peaked, according to Wikipedia, this is in the mid-70s, yeah. And yeah, he was just basically huge for his belief in getting money in the here and now, or getting your milk and honey in the land, in this land, not waiting. Yeah, the land of milk. Don't listen to my quote. Basically, getting your dues here and now instead of waiting for it in the land of milk and honey. There you go. You can get it out eventually. Chiron and Gemini is a stinger. Trust me. I know about some signals in this chart. Need to be waxing with Ike. Oh, right, okay. So, the notes, the mind, the drifting, the Gemini bit. Whee. But this is what I mean. Sometimes it's better when you intuit it. Writing it down and putting across is one way. Seeing it and feeling it out is another way. Doing both, combining the two, is something that you will see in Morgan Freeman's chart with this signature of Gemini and Sagittarius South Node and North Node. But in Reverend Ike anyway, his South Node is surrounded, swamped by Venus and swamped Pluto. Clever astrologer will get that. Pluto, Venus, and the South Node together. So I mean, that's relationships, people, money. Yeah. So relationships obviously with people or possessions. You can have relationship with possessions, other people's stuff. Oh, why am I getting so much joke? Because Pluto can relate to basically recycling, rebirth, death, regeneration, transformation, repossession, I want to say. Yeah, man, Hades, man, he just repossessed that life. So other people's stuff, like why stuff, Pluto, sorry, Taurus, Venus. Venus rules Taurus. Taurus is to do with possessions. So you could say Venus is the stuff, the other people's. Second house and 8th house natural rulers, if you want to talk about natural rulers of the zodiac. South Node. So yeah, this guy's getting his, man. Like, this is what he's coming with. Like, he come in with it, and he's supposed to go to what? Well, his North Node is in Capricorn, 22 degrees. This man's a master builder. Talking about numbers there. Where's his Saturn? Yeah, so I already did this in the lineup in my own notes. So his Saturn's in Pisces, and it's funny that, you know, you in me, yo, anyway, homie. Yeah, you mentioned Saturn in Pisces just a moment ago, and the reason why it's significant, because Saturn is the ruler of this North Node and will have some colouring or influence on what he ends up doing, I guess. And this man obviously was working as a preacher, pastor, chaplain, not sure, well, Reverend, man. The guy's working as a Reverend. Keep looking for church titles, but obviously it's in the name, innit? Reverend Ike. So he's working as a Reverend, I'm going to say, for the purpose of there being so many titles, so many denominations, so many religions. It gets deep. So the power in this man's chart, you see all the red lines, is this we call it a T-square effect. Now, I'm getting something now. I'm getting it. I am. Right. It's T-square, and the reason why I thought it was quite a significant thing for this guy and getting his is just desserts here and now rather than waiting to the land of milk and honey, is that Saturn is opposite Neptune. So his spirituality, it was his work again. So here we go. Even though we don't know the birth time for Reverend Ike. Just on signs alone, if you use the basis of the natural houses and the signs, he worked, instead of in the movies, in the church, and had a charismatic son, Leo, performer, in his work, spiritually, preaching, and then this is across from the material. So he's a very grounded man, like, or you could say materially orientated is one way to put it. But in the sense that he was grounded, is that as much as he had these manifestations and magic and ideas of how to basically money rituals, you could call it spells, you could call it magic, you could call it many different things, but basically, yeah, he was very pragmatic in the way of getting it. Like, you just need to listen to the man's sermons, man. The way he's just funny, man. He's just funny. But yeah, if you listen to him, basically he speaks about being very practical about how to get money and how to put the work in and doing stuff. He wasn't just the airy fairy, believe all of this, I say all of this, and you'll just get all of this. Although I feel like in that era, is that a false hammer? Yeah, ignore it though, because that's something deeper. Anyway, yeah, like, it wasn't just about straight airy fairiness. He was about getting his guap, getting his dollar, getting his p, getting the bag fully. The man was fully about the bag. Understatement. Leaving a legacy, building a name, looking at his North Node, 22 degrees in Capricorn. Now you got the Stoyanovich theory of each number is a degree of the sign, and then you've also got the numerology of the 4, Saturn again, I guess, Capricorn. So you can look at that kind of degree with this particular signature both way around and come to this conclusion. Although you could come to Uranus, depending on how you look at 4s. But no, why I'm even looking at that with some significance. This is a sesquiquadrate, I believe. 135 degree aspect. Yep, I can see it actually. And that's a sesquiquadrate, and it's actually legitimate. I've seen this ascendant point and seen that midheaven point, and the angles are not accurate on this chart, so ignore them, because Reverend Ike, we don't have the birth time. But what I do see is the Sun, the North Node, and Neptune in what you call, I believe it's called Thor's hammer. Anyway, at least by someone. And this is quite a it's not a yod, but it's a yod of sorts, because I mean, instead of the yod with being a sextile, what you get is an apex with a square, and I believe that's called the Thor's hammer. And then it also almost kites out, because then you get Venus, the South Node, and the North Node as the opposite points, filling it out. Whoa, that's a configuration, plus a T-square. So yeah, man, like these these big people, let's say big people who become big, well known, big names, they have quite, in a lot of cases, obviously, quite major aspects going on in some certain kind of sense. The reason why I'm twitching with myself only slightly is because what I wanted to get to, or what I was looking at as a heavy signature in his chart, but things are now coming out as I look at it, because that's the nature of the biz. But the initial thing is that his spirituality, his identity, his reputation. Boom! Didn't get that before so clean. Spirituality, Neptune. Identity, the Sun. Saturn, reputation. He had a reputation for having a spiritual identity. His reputation as identity as a spiritual person. There you go, T-square. Identity as in his Sun. Reputation, Saturn, known for spiritual work. Virgo, Neptune in Virgo. There we go. And then also adding charisma. So charisma basically as a churchman. And then yeah, Pisces, the sign of the spirituality again, backing up the Neptune signature. So that is one way you can look at it. I would say, if I've seen this in anybody's chart though, and if you just read, say, Robert Hand's book of planets in transit, yeah, it looks like a difficult challenging aspect. Anyway, back to this false hammer, man. I can't let this one go for a second. You don't see them all the time. Or most of the point, even if you do probably have them pop up in charts, not every software is clever enough to throw them up for you. But it would also include Chiron. So you would have the Sun and Chiron. I can't say where his moon is precisely, but I know it's in Gemini because it can only go 6 degrees either way and it's still being Gemini. But yeah, Sun and Chiron square to Neptune, and that's sesquiquadrate to the North Node and sesquiquadrate to the Sun and Chiron again. And then the apex point are actually semi-squares, so they're 45-degree aspects. And it makes sense actually. 45 plus 135 is 180. Do it again, you get your 360. Okay, church, as they say. Anyway, let me just double check. Oh, so just to know how successful this guy was, he bought a church building for about $500,000 in what I want to say called old money. So probably 10 times more today. Probably about 5 million, $500,000. 10 times $500,000 is 5 million. But I'm just throwing a number out there. But he did buy the building for $500,000. So it weren't no little like thing, and that this was a big boy preacher, big boy church. Religion, spirituality, that kind of thing's big, or was very big back then where he was. I believe it's still quite big now. Blah, 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 blah. The reason why I say that is because I'm not a particular expert, but obviously if you know anything about it, there's a lot of money in evangelism if you're doing it right. But I guess you're giving people hope, and that is something that like is, I don't want to say priceless, but like if you're living with no hope and your life is actually pretty bleak, then yeah, you're in a situation where you need to work out, well, you don't need to, but it would be in your interest to work out how to turn that around. So I guess that's how church can work for people, or positive motivation. Church preaching positive motivation. 9th house, Sagittarius, Jupiter. So we're talking about Jupiter, and he's got Jupiter in Scorpio, and that's probably why he's very intense and powerful and could manifest with his philosophy and his preaching. So just to wrap this up for Reverend Ike, church building. Oh, so yeah, I'll give you some Reverend Ike quotes. You can't lose with the stuff I use. The best way to help poor people is to not be one of them. And it's not money that's the root of all evil, but the lack of it. Now, I could say that like I can't deliver him the way Ike would, but his delivery, I think he said he worked in media or something at some point, but he had it down. He had it down to a T. Like he was artistic with it. I ain't gonna lie. And that's the Gemini signatures again. So my Gemini people, you know what? Gotta show y'all love, crazy love. Like y'all got your little talents, big talents, multiple talents. To call you jack of all trades. But really I know, well, not that you can be masters, but you like to be jack of all trades, really, let's be honest. Yep. Let's just double check. Now when I say not even double check, I was just gonna say to everybody who's following, I love y'all, and yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend to tell a genuine friend to tell a genuine friend to tell proper people. Oh, it's 333 on the clock. It's the business. P doubles with me, Prodigy. Yeah, respect, much love to that. Anybody who knows Mob Deep, I got a video anyway, it's in there. But yeah, I'm just looking on wrapping this up neatly because I can see the timer, and yeah, I might as well stay within the bounds. Saturn again. So speaking about older people, reputations, or someone that's actually passed on in terms of Reverend Ike. 1st of June people, Gemini twins. These are all things I should put in the notes actually. So I'll check this out when I stop the video. Note to self. But yeah, as I was saying, thankful for doing what I do. If anyone wants to get at me, contact me, wants to work with me in regards to me looking at your chart, or even just actually, it's Gemini season, communication back and forth. So yeah, holler at me Only positive back and forth though, because I ain't getting out without with your hell to the no.